and a very good morning to you. As always, we're delighted to know that you're joining us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe, and for some reason, I'm a bit more pumped up than I always would feel on a weekday morning such as this one. But Priscilla Obasi probably feels the same way, because I'm not going to be the one to let the cat out of the bag about what she was doing before we got on air. But Priscilla, it's good to see you. It was last Friday we hosted the show together, right?
As always, it's a pleasure to be here. Especially, I always like it when I anchor with you.
Yeah, and I feel honored. I also think that you have an advantage over me now on account of that exercise you did a while ago, but it's all right.
A very important exercise.
Yeah, sure, it is, vital. So I was looking at the papers, even though we're not talking about paper headlines just yet. You know, it will appear many of the major newspapers today have as their big story the successes being recorded by armed forces now against terrorists and all of these criminal elements, especially up north.
Okay.
It's probably the case that we have not seen the blessing in this U.S.-Nigeria row, because it is now becoming a case of, well, since the United States authorities doubt our ability to fight terrorism, sincere commitment to winning the war against all kinds of insecurity. So let's prove them wrong. It appears that's what we're doing right now, because I remember a colleague many years ago told me that she had a cousin who had not shown interest in going to school after secondary education. But then once she gained admission, that's my colleague, her cousin's mom, her auntie, apparently now realized, hold on a second, I think there is a need for my daughter to go to school. So sometimes you probably need to see someone else do something or have someone else jolt you into action. And until then, you probably are not just so enthusiastic about swinging into action, or you altogether feel, well, maybe we can wait this one out and who knows, maybe come back to it another day. But in the case of Nigeria now, we seem to be falling over ourselves to prove President Trump wrong.
Well, I don't want to believe that. I know that there are personalities as such, people that, you know, need to have people who awaken them.
External
influence, exactly. There are people like that. But it is not a coincidence. I don't want to believe that it's a coincidence that all our presidents from 2009, when all this began, till now, have same personality, towards insecurity. And we have been seeing the news. They have been saying that, they are doing one or two. They are defeating insecurity. You are seeing, victory in some parts of Nigeria. But the truth is, I personally am not very convinced about it until I hear citizens in that very community come out to say, indeed, we have. Because it is not just about the news that is being made. It's not about what is in the headlines. But until we have Nigerians come out to say, indeed, this is what is happening in this area. Why is it that we are only hearing it from those in authority? Why are we not hearing it from the citizens, those in those communities? Why are they not coming out to say it? I mean, this is social media where we see all of these things happen. We should see one or two persons coming out to say, okay, yeah, indeed, these guys came to this area and they have done something. We all have, we are in the technology age where we should have such reports from, people to reflect whatever it is that is happening, or whatever it is that, this, our security forces, our security agents, our security chiefs are saying. So until we see that, for me personally, I don't know about other Nigerians, I don't know about you, but I am not convinced yet until I hear it from even the, citizens themselves. Yeah, because this is what we get to see. I mean, what were we expecting? Are we expecting that? Because, okay, we saw different people come to counsel President Tinubu, a prominent man of God even coming out to say, President Tinubu should go and dialogue with, Trump and ask him to give him 100 days and then come back to, defeat terrorism or defeat, insecurity in 90 days. And I'm like, wow. These are the same men of God that came out to say, or when all of these things have come out to say, people should pray, the whole thing is spiritual, whatever it is beyond us, it's just God that can help us. So he can actually come out to say, okay, this thing can actually be defeated in 90 days and give such specific numbers. I mean, it's just funny. So,
are those, okay, is that particular, if you like, deadline or target window realistic, 90 days?
That's what I'm saying. It means that...
What are the metrics by which we got to that?
It means that it's actually... It's either they have intentionally, folded their hands for you to come out to say 90 days.
Right.
It's either they have intentionally, that is talking about, those fighting insecurity, our government, our president. It's either they have intentionally folded their hands, and not do anything about it, or indeed they were not, able to do anything. But for someone to come out and say 90 days,
right,
90 days, and for such a prominent figure to come out and give such, for me, it says a lot. It does say a lot. And then we've seen in the whole situation, people still coming out to, kind of indulge these bandits, saying that they're our brothers.
Let's give them lots of standing.
Exactly.
Let's treat them with some kid gloves.
Exactly.
Can we not pamper them a little?
The whole thing is just funny. How do you negotiate with someone that does not value human life? How? For someone that thinks this life is not important, how do you bring such a person to the table for a conversation? I mean, and these are people that are supposed to be our leaders. These are the people making such moves.
Right.
So it means that they are indeed the ones that have held, that have kept this whole thing for this long. If we have such people coming out to say, let us negotiate, you don't care about the lives that have been wasted. That is what it means. So you don't negotiate with terrorists because they don't care about lives. You need to treat them the way they treat others.
Now that you're saying this, again, it's interesting and very disturbing at the same time. And because you're seeing a situation now where some of the bandit leaders are coming out at different times and saying a lot of things. In fact, when you listen intentionally, dispassionately, with an open mind to some of them, you realize that they are even implicating the state governments. Imagine one, for example, said to have made a statement saying that, look, it was the government that invited us into this, and now the government also wants us to stop. We will listen to the government. I mean, that is profound. That is a national security concern. But the question is, are we looking at that direction? Are we addressing that particular issue, for example? I know people have argued to say that, look, with the Niger Delta, what do you call them again? I mean, the ones who were agitating and all of that. What we did for them was that we gave them amnesty. Now, let's look at the two scenarios, which security specialists have put out there time and again in terms of analysis. I mean, those who are pundits in the field of security matters have talked about this, many more times than we can count. They've said, look, the scenarios are not the same.
Exactly.
For example, in the Niger Delta, the agitation was saying that, look, you are exploiting our land. You are exploiting, you're destroying our land by exploiting our resources. And we're not getting anything close to commensurate, reward or compensation in terms of what in light of what you take out from our soil, all right? What do you leave us with? You leave us with water that has been polluted, that people can't drink. Aquatic life is virtually gone.
Yes.
Ogoni is still there till today. Everybody has come into office and played politics with that one. But the agitation was very clear.
Yes.
What were they doing? They were kidnapping expatriates across the Niger Delta. God bless his memory, former President Yar'Adua came into office and said, look, we have to find a definitive solution to this problem, not just playing politics, not just talking plenty. And that was how the amnesty program came to be. And till today, that program is still well coordinated and is still running. You and I cannot count on this program. The number of people who have gone through to school, home and abroad, because of the amnesty program, because of the structure that was created through the amnesty program. And the people who agitated at that time, they were asked to come out and renounce their agitation. They came out with their full chest, as we say on social media, with their faces and identity and everything else. However, in this other case of banditry, it is a case of coming to one place, killing everybody, burning cars, burning houses, taking over people's farmlands, and just destroying entire communities. And then you move from bandit to escalate to insurgency, which is the Boko Haram stronghold. To the point that you're now hearing, in fact, that has been here for years, that there are local governments that have been taken over by terrorists. We have seen governors come out to say this. This is not a media, if you like, construct. We have seen governors, sitting governors, including the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum, come out to say that, look, so and so number of local governments have been taken. As a matter of fact, a few months ago, Professor Zulum, one of the if you like, most troubled governors in the north in terms of insecurity. One of the governors who have been so impacted adversely, not just him as a president, but his states. At the point, traveling across Borno was a challenge for him, even as a governor in the 21st century. That's how bad it is there. And the man said, look, as it stands right now, the military has been overwhelmed. This was Governor Zulum coming out to speak. As weighty are these statements, you look at our actions, you look at the moves we are making as a government, you are asking yourself, do we even realize the enormity of problem we're dealing with?
So it looks like those governors, our presidents, and those, our leaders are they're kind of aware. They know where it started from, and somehow I feel that it's like you said, one of them coming out to say, these people invited us. I listened to an expose on social media. Everything is flying out right now. Everybody is pushing their narrative. This one person came out to say that the reason why these people came in, they came in from Niger, from Chad, and that season was when I think it was when when Buhari, president, former late Buhari, contested for office then, and the whole thing did not work out. And then they had invited people. They had invited people from these neighboring countries to stay just in case this person did not concede defeat. And before you know, they forgot about them and left them there. And before you know, they found it exactly. They said penetrating the country.
Again, that's a theory.
Yes, that's a theory someone put out there, and that was how they came in. Because if you look at this insecurity situation, it looks as if there are three arms of this person. If you want to group them, there is the Boko Haram, there is the bandits, and there are those that kidnap. There are those that go to kill and just take over your land.
Right.
And that is what you say. Some governors are already confirming. So the agenda is to take over a particular land or particular territory. Just go to different states and take over the land. So these things, I don't think it's far-fetched. A thinking government would sit down and analyze these things, because we have our intelligence. It is not far-fetched. But the fact that it has lingered till now means somehow, it's either there are, people that I don't want to offend. I know you, somehow you have been good to me, or somehow we are in the political space together. I don't want to offend you. That is what it's looking like, because I don't think this is a challenge for Nigeria. And to see that right now we are beginning to have some results, it means that, okay, right now, there's nothing we can do. Instead of allowing the US come in, can we now do this ourselves? More like talking to your partner and saying, okay, we don't want the US to come in. It is time for us to do this together. Then everybody, or that other person that does not want, that has opposed for a long time, sees that, okay, there's nothing to gain. Instead of the US coming, let me surrender, or let us fight this together. So there's a teamwork going on that used to be, something that two parties would never agree on. Right now, they're deciding to agree because of the fact that a US president is going to come in to, overshadow or, replace or whatever, impress Nigerians, and they don't want it to happen. So instead of allowing that to happen, they rather shake hands and defeat terrorism. That is what some people are pushing the narrative, and it's almost appearing as though it's true.
It's a sad thing, I must say. But you see, we must be clear on one thing. When you have a situation such as Nigeria is dealing with right now, this level of this intensity of insecurity, the implications are quite numerous. Apart from the lives, which of course life is sacred, life is sacrosanct. You can't give life because you don't even have the power to give it. All right. The economic losses that we can't even quantify. You also realize that it damages your image as a country.
Of course.
I'll give you an example real quick. Now, beyond the United States, which you mentioned a while ago, the United Kingdom has also now put out an advisory there. That was something they did about 48 hours ago. To say that, look, there are certain states in Nigeria that British citizens should not go to. Do you know what it means for a country that has its embassy or its high commission in your country? To say, look, there are places in your country. It's like you coming to spend vacation in my house, let's say for 2 weeks, with your children. Then you tell them they shouldn't go to the living room, they shouldn't touch the remote control pad, they shouldn't turn on the AC. So I'm now wondering, so if they're going to be here for 2 weeks,
why did you allow them?
Exactly.
Why did you allow them come in?
Yes, if they won't use these facilities. Now, that's embarrassment. That's an insult.
Yes.
Now, they've mentioned in the south, Northwest, for example, they've mentioned Katsina, they've mentioned Zamfara. Of course, Zamfara is a hotspot.
Yes.
The governor of that state, His Excellency Lawal Daud, has said that, look, on my own device, I can see where these criminal elements are. So is the DSS interfacing with Zamfara State? Because my assumption is that there's a director of the DSS in Zamfara State, like you have in other states. And then they mention Katsina. That's the state of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Then they move up to the northeast. They mention 4 states: Adamawa, Borno, Gombe, and Yobe. These are 6 states in a region that has 19 states. And the UK authorities are saying they're advising their people not to go there. Yet you have people from the this part of the world, from Europe, from even the UK in particular, doing business there, many of them working for international organizations and all of that. So do we go to bed at night and snore and sleep, or we stay up all night asking ourselves, how do we find practical solutions to this problem? I mean, there's a lot we can talk about this in the course of the show today, but we're going to take a quick break now so we don't dampen your morning. Let's join Ramsey Enoch Agbo as we now bring you motivation.
If you want to grow, there needs to be preparation for times of discomfort. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and today I want to let you know that success is achievable. You can do it. All right? The times are changing. So many things are happening. But you need to know that comfort is the enemy of growth. That's it. That's what we want to look at today. The truth is this: everyone wants comfort, but then there is an amount of work that you need to put into yourself, into whatever it is that you feel you need to be comfortable. Therefore, comfort is the enemy of growth. If you want to grow, you need to welcome some level of discomfort. If you don't want to grow, just sit in one place and be in the euphoria of comfort, as the case may be. Now, if it doesn't challenge you, it cannot change you. That's the truth. If it doesn't challenge you, it does not have the capacity to change you. Whatever does not challenge you does not have the capacity to change you. And that's the reason most times you see people who are being challenged, all right, by a particular circumstance. They say, wow, look at this young man. Look at what this young man is doing. Look at what this young lady is doing. Wow, I'm being challenged. I can do it. I can do it. Whatever that does not challenge you cannot change you. Because if you're being challenged by a particular thing, there is a level of effort you put into turning that thing to your advantage. Comfort feels good, yeah? It's safe, yeah? Familiar and easy. But there is a truth that we need to know, that comfort is a cage dressed like luxury. That's what comfort is. That is the definition of comfort. It is a cage that is dressed like luxury. It is not luxury. It's just being dressed like luxury. It is not luxury. That thing you're calling comfort today, that comfort zone that you don't want to get out of, it's a cage. It's not luxury. It's not. This is one thing that we need to know. Every successful man have gone through thick and thin. Everyone you see comfortable today, they had times when they were drinking garri. Some never even had the garri to drink. So what we're looking at as comfort today is merely a cage that has strapped you down, dressed like a luxury. It's not luxury. You can remain in that thing you call comfort, and before you know, you are 30 years. Before you know, you are 40. and you can no longer achieve the things you would have achieved that period that you felt you were in comfort. That thing is just cage. It's a cage. You need to break out of it. You need to allow yourself come out of it. This is a personal decision. Sometimes you don't even need people. In fact, this is the truth. That thing that you think is comfort, that thing you think is luxury, all right? If anyone even want to talk you out of it, you look at them as, hey, enemy of progress. You want me to go and suffer. You want me to go and suffer. No, my daddy, I'm in my daddy's house. And let me enjoy. Let me do this. No. You need to learn. And parents also need to hear this. You're not doing your children good. You think you're pampering them. You think it is comfort, but you are caging them. What if you're not there? We've had situations whereby a man died very rich, a woman died very rich, leave a lot of wealth, right, for the children. But the children couldn't manage it because they don't know the source of this wealth. They don't know how this wealth was gotten. So there was no continuity because these children were caged in what they call comfort, in luxury. I'm trying to make us know that the truth is always the truth. You need to challenge yourself. Comfort is the enemy of growth. If you want to grow, you need to get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it's not easy. The amount of time you put into a particular thing will determine the amount of result you will get out of that very particular thing. Every time you choose comfort, you postpone your growth. That's the truth. Every time you choose comfort, you postpone. See, that minute, time doesn't wait for anyone. That's the truth. Time doesn't wait for you. Time doesn't wait for anyone. That 1 minute you spent in your comfort zone is a limitation to your growth. If you were out there trying to see how you can get to the other level, you will grow. Every time you choose a challenge, you stretch your potential. Look at the seed. I don't know. I just feel like using the seed as an example. It must break to grow. It must get rotten in the ground. Even the Bible said it. It said, except the seed fall to the ground and die, it remained alone. It remained alone. But when it gets to the soil, it's been beaten by the sun, then the rain will come on it, then it will germinate. First of all, it gets rotten in the soil. It gets heated by the sun in the soil before it grows. Then one day, they call it a harvest period. That same seed germinates, grew, brought up fruits, brought up tubers of yam, in fact, there are so many things we need to do so that we can grow, as a matter of fact. Let me tell you, let's say for instance a butterfly must struggle out of its cocoon to fly. And you must also step into discomfort to become who you were born to be. When some people have a lot of testimony, a lot of things to say, maybe when it got started, the story was very, very tedious. But I want you to know that you can get out of it and you forget about the story. When the glory comes, you forget the story. But for every glory, there is a story. You don't need to forget about that. So that story must be there, all right, to make the glory valuable. So get out of that thing you're calling comfort zone. The growth zone is always outside your comfort zone. Discomfort is a sign that something inside you is expanding. That comfort. Do you know that some people learn, all right? Some people learn from their experience. If it is a bad experience, you can learn from it. If it is a good experience, you can learn from it. So I want you to know today that discomfort is a sign that something inside of you is about expanding. So take advantage of that time. Growth requires growth, like they say, requires stretching mentality, emotionally, spiritually, so that The next time you feel nervous, afraid, or uncertain, don't run from it. All right? Don't run from it. Don't run from those challenges. Some challenges are meant to make you and not to mar you. Lead on. That's where your transformation begins. And as a matter of fact, choose challenges over comfort today, because the pain of discipline weighs on cease. All right? The weight of discipline. Some people, when they are being disciplined, they say, they hate me. They hate me. But that discipline is to make you, except if it is out of some form of bad intention. But God sees every intention. No one wants to punish you because of any negative intention. But the pain of regret waits turns. Step out, grow, and become the version of yourself that comfort could never create, but challenges created them. Congratulations. I am going to be seeing you at the other side of success. We will all get there, but then get out of your comfort zone. Face the challenges. Take the discipline. Take the correction. No one have the monopoly of knowledge. All of us are work in progress, heading for a destination, and that's where success and growth meets, and of course, that makes a champion. Thank you very much. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Many thanks for watching this episode.
All right, welcome back. I hope you were inspired truly by that motivation. Right now, let's go straight to the newspaper segment. And we're starting with the first paper here, which is the Daily Trust. On the Daily Trust, first story below the nameplate, Obasanjo, coming from Obasanjo, under my watch, U.S. wouldn't do anything in Africa without our knowledge. Okay. Abuja mortuary drowns in stench decay. Silver, EFCC puts FBI, NCA, Interpol on alert. And let's go to the big story. Bandits attack 5 vehicles, abduct passengers in Kogi. That's a sad one. As much as we're hearing that, they are being defeated, we're still seeing cases where bandits are still doing their thing. Federal government pushes for Ekweremadu's transfer to Nigeria. PDP convention, Damagun-led NWC, Mols Wike's explosion. That detail is on page 16. NACON reduces Hajj fare to 7.6 million naira. And finally, we have many killed as Boko Haram ISWAP clash in Lake Chad region. That detail is on page 7. Those are your headlines for the Daily Trust. Now let's go to the New Telegraph.
All right. Well, let's see the first one that we have there. It says, just right at the top, far above the name master of the New Telegraph, Tier 1 banks suffer 545 billion naira capital erosion in 10-day market crisis. Breakthrough as Nigeria joins unified West African power grid. What advantage does that hold for us as a country and as a community of businesses? Well, read all details on page 8. Then top right, beneath the nameplate with a picture of the embattled former president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy. It says ex-French president released from prison after 3 weeks. We understand that he has appealed the verdict that sent him to prison in the first instance. So while that appeal is being heard, the court has said he needs to go back home, right? Let's see here. It says, Baba Ahmed, we need to be angry with our leaders. They've taken us for granted. EFCC declares ex-Bayelsa Gabda Silva wanted for alleged conspiracy fund conversion. Insecurity. APC governors beg traditional rulers to, let's see what it says here. All right, to implore a gods of the land for protection. To conjure gods of the land for protection. Incidentally, that headline has a picture of the Progressive Governors Forum chairman and the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma. And then the Star headline tells us, Trump's threat, U.S. may alter West Africa's security landscape. That's according to ex-DSS director. It says, aid stoppage represents severe diplomatic ties downgrade. Boko Haram, ISWAP, banditry, existential threats to sovereignty. Trump threatens $1 billion legal action against BBC over January 6 speech edits. Those details await you on pages 3 and 5. PDP National Convention, or your court adjourns suit till November 12th, that's tomorrow. A federal government targets local production of 500,000 tons of methanol. And then we come further down. Historical mistrust, land grabbing, others triggering violence in North Central. That's presidency. So what are we going to do about it now that we know these are the challenges? Reps probe $4.6 billion grants from Global Fund, USAID. That's going to be a long walk. You know, Priscilla, we've always had this practice where we get grants from several international organizations. But now we hear that the House of Representatives is making a move to probe all of these monies, totaling $4.6 billion. That's several trillions in Naira. But the question is, did we have to wait this long for these things to mount up and become this complicated?
Well, why are they probing it in the first place? Is the question I would really like to ask. Because in Nigeria, it's typical that it doesn't benefit them. That's why there's a probe. Right. If it's a situation, if it's something that has benefited those members there, I'm very
Again, sure. Deficit of public trust.
Well.
All right, so let's see the last one for you here quickly. It says, flavanose in cocoa may improve blood flow. That's according to studies. Incidentally, that's my favorite part of the New Telegraph every morning. You can read up those details on page 29. All right, and then, of course, other details from the New Telegraph this morning, which will take us to our next paper, from where Priscilla will bring us all of the headlines.
Okay, so let's go to the Punch newspaper. That is the next paper. We'll start with the first story. Presidency eyes NNPC shakeup as oil output falters. That detail is on page 25. 9 banks pocket 14.7 trillion naira interest income. That detail is on 37. Over 100,000 policemen assigned to VIPs. I am not understanding. So our Nigerian policemen are assigned to VIPs. Okay, you find that detail on page 22. $14 million probe. EFCC puts Silva on FBI Interpol watch list. And 41 is where you see that detail. I saw that story on the internet yesterday, declaring him wanted. Right. And I'm wondering, is it that you don't know where to get him? If it's some Yahoo boy, you know, they would go into their houses, break the doors, and fish them out. When it comes to our past governors, they're always declared wanted.
I like to believe, Priscilla, that the case of Silva is a bit peculiar in the sense that he's now from off the shores of our country, and who knows, from the last time we checked, he wasn't even in Africa. So naturally, you are going to need this sort of collaboration to get him, all right? But again, I understand where your narrative is going to, the question of sincerity of purpose. In other words, if it were not, if it hadn't been a high-profile individual, a politically exposed person of this magnitude of influence, would you have the same approach? Would you have adopted the same method, right?
Exactly.
So, sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander, right?
And also, where have he, when he was in Nigeria all the while? Maybe it's a recent case. Let us assume that it's just a recent case.
Right.
Let's go to the big story. Trump threats troops pound terror bases in key states. 82 rescued in air. Ground assault in Borno, Kwara, Katsina. Boko Haram, ISWAP, clash leaves 50 dead. Wow. 50. When we call these numbers now, it looks as if it's nothing. When you hear 50 dead, I mean,
these are human beings.
These are human beings. Tinubu pushes Siemens deal for fresh 4,000 megawatts power. You find that detail on page 35. PDP convention, Wike block petition, NJC. Motorists stranded as Oyo residents protest road extension. That detail is on page 5. Gaming bill, Lagos sues National Assembly for contempt. Okay, those are your headlines for the Punch newspaper. Let's go to the next paper, which is the Nation newspaper.
Incidentally, we skipped the Vanguard earlier.
Vanguard.
So we're going to look at the Vanguard,
that's
yes. From the top of it, before we later return with Priscilla to the Nation newspaper, it says Nigeria's private sector credit soars 75.9% in 2 years. Those details are on page 19 for you. PDP, pro-anti-convention forces fight as court adjourns case to November 12. Let's unite against extremism, Olubado, Shoyinka, NHRC. Are we ready to do that? 2027, rigging, worst coup, Dixon, Amechi. Sounds like a stray bullet, but the details are with you on page 16. Insecurity, NAF, that's the Nigerian Air Force, strikes kill terrorists, bandits in Borno, Kwara, Katsina, and that headline has at least half a dozen riders with it, okay? And then we'll move further down. Why we declared Timi Praise Silva wanted, that is credited to the EFCC with a rider that says it's coordinated political onslaught. Silva's aide there talking as Ijo use kick. Read up all of that news story on page 7. Trump threatens BBC with a $1 billion lawsuit over January 6 speech edits as BBC DG Davy, CEO, resign. WHO FCDD hail Mba's commitments to health development. All of that is happening in Enugu State with details on page 11. And then there is sports here. Shocker. Shale owed salaries ahead World Cup playoffs on page 32. Hopefully he gets paid in good time so that doesn't become some sort of clog in the wheel of progress. Enough of this practice of owing sports people, whether the players themselves or the people who manage them. I mean, we should stop this embarrassing and very demotivating culture. But then read up those details from the Vanguard newspaper today as we move to the next one, which is the Nation newspaper.
Okay, on the Nation newspaper, the first story, Silva wanted by EFCC over $14.8 million fraud. There's a writer to that. Ex-minister, it's witch hunt, and that detail is on page 4. Religion, not Nigeria's crisis, says Shoyinka. We're dealing with extremists. And who are these extremists is the question. If religion is not a problem, are these extremists, where do they belong?
Yeah.
Are they not, religiously affiliated? to...
Let me even, just curious of me to ask, if, God forbid a million times, we're going to have a security situation way more serious than we are currently dealing with, that is going to stop us from having election in this country, let's say 2027 election, are you saying we are going to be helpless? I don't want you to answer, I'm just curious, you know, because it is what is at stake that determines the kind of action that we take. You know, what in school, first year, 100 level, you see these guys who do conduct tutorials, the ones who sell materials. One of them comes into the class and he says, look, you have to buy this book, it will do X, Y, Z. The class before you did X, Y, Z, they gained this sort of advantage. You know this is very important because you have to graduate with your mates. You see, I don't know how you felt from 200-300 level and upward, but at that level, I mean, you're just a neophyte in school. This is a guy who has even completed their education or are doing their final year. And he's telling you that you need to do this and this and this. That may not even strike a chord in your head, but he says you need to graduate your mate. So that fear, that concern, that thought of, hold on a second, so am I going to be here for another year, another 2 years, and then my mates, whatever that means, So because of what is at stake, you see, you want to buy the material, you want to invest in your study, you want to put in more time, more energy, you want to be more focused, you want to concentrate better. So what is at stake is what determines the amount of action you're going to take and the quality of investment you're going to put into that process. So we need to sit down and ask ourselves, for example, there was an election just over this weekend in Anambra State. We saw how at least 60,000 policemen, this is from the IG himself, were deployed. One state out of 36 states in 2025, because you are afraid unknown gunmen might compromise the process, might hijack the entire system. So you had to go that far. You had to put in all of that work. So how much work are we putting into fighting terrorism?
Well, just to answer your question, I think that would mean that some part of the country would hold elections and the other parts of the country would be declared insecure. And because of that, the elections would...
So the process will be inconclusive?
Yeah, no inconclusive. It will be concluded from wherever it is.
So we just call the results based on the areas in which we're able to...
We've seen it happen during elections. We've seen some local governments, denied voting rights because they say that environment is not safe.
It's volatile.
It's volatile. We've seen it happen, and they were not. They said, okay, we'll postpone, and we'll never see them reconduct.
Elections were never conducted there ultimately. All right, let's go on.
Let's go to what's on the Nation newspaper. NACON slashes 2026 Hajj fee to 7.6 million naira, and that detail is on page 4. Lottery: Lagos sues National Assembly for defying Supreme Court. That detail is on page 4. That's an interesting one. Let's go to the big story here, and it says, airstrikes kill terrorists in Borno, Pounds hideout in Katsina, Kwara. There's a writer to that, or two writers. Troops launch blistering attacks. 200 ISWAP fighters killed in clash with Boko Haram. Okay, so this is between Boko Haram
yes, and ISWAP.
And ISWAP.
Some report says it's 50 of them that died in the process of the fighting.
So why are they fighting is the question.
Maybe supremacy. Who should be in charge of this
who should be the main terrorist?
Right.
So we have terrorists.
And it's not the first time, by the way.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe we should, let me just leave that. Opebelo revokes museum's C of O, takes EU convoy to Monarch, and that detail is on page 6. PDP faction asks NJC to sanction Ibadan judge. Court to hear case on convention tomorrow. Federal government Siemens scale up 23 billion euro power project. Project generates $2.2 billion investment. And finally, we have UNN. VC objects to ex-minister Naji's certificate forgery suit. That detail is on page 4, and those are your headlines for the Nation newspaper. Now let's go to the Nigerian Tribune.
All right. Well, on the Nigerian Tribune this morning, the star headline first. Here it says Boko Haram ISWAP clash at Borno border, over 150 killed. Then you have several riders there. following that headline. Then if we move up a notch higher to the top above the nameplate of the Nigerian Tribune, it says reps invite EFCC, ICPC to probe $4.6 billion global fund, USAID grants. And then again, a picture of former Bayelsa State Governor and former Minister here, Timi Silva. It says EFCC declares Timi Silva wanted. We place high premium on stable power, Tinubu. Then what more do we have here? It says National Hajj Commission cuts in 2026 Hajj fares. Health, CAFI may protect against irregular heartbeats by 39%. That's some study. Gives me a reason to want to do more of that, but I have to watch it. CAFI may protect against irregular heartbeats by 39%. Historical mistrust, land grabbing, illegal mining, banditry trigger violence, presidency, as Tinubu receives zonal briefs on security infrastructure. Okpebholo revokes MOA's CFO, asks site be returned to Benin Central Hospital. This is going to be tough, really. It's about a museum that had been built in Edo State, and now there's some sort of clash of titans, if you like, between the former governor and the incumbent governor, if you like, both governments. But that story is quite extensive. All right, last one here. Wildlife trafficking, court sends to prison, to prison, orders forfeiture of gorilla. Wildlife trafficking, court sends to prison, orders forfeiture of gorilla, on page 17 of the Nigerian Tribune today. Let's go look at our last paper, which is the Daily Independent.
Before we go to that, I was just trying to reminisce on, this paper and the story that was brought by the president, historical mistrust, land grabbing. And then it just occurred to me that I have never really seen Tinubu authoritative in this country. Like, every time he puts out an address there, it's always more like a dialogue, more like, let's do this together. There's no form of, and I imagine Trump in this situation. I'm not trying to compare though, but I mean,
two different individuals.
But then we need to see some level of authority, some level of, let us do this. You guys must, especially with the whole insecurity going on, you want to instruct the service chiefs, the armed forces, and all of that to make sure. But instead, what we just say is, we will defeat, we will do this, we will do that. Like, there's no sort of authority, there's no sort of, there's no sort, it doesn't really give citizens out there the confidence that something is going to happen. And that is why somehow they just feel like nothing happens. It's just mere words. Because of
so we need to, our president needs to come on stronger, more assertive.
Exactly.
With much more authority.
Exactly. I think all of this is just
right. That's a challenge for the president and indeed for the government.
Okay, let's go to the Daily Independent. And we'll have the first story. Alleged $1.8 million fraud. EFCC declares Timi Silva wanted. Federal government orders expansion of major transformers. So I'm wondering, instead of declaring him wanted, why not go to whatever country he's in and speak to the government there?
That will not work. No, it will not work.
So when you say wanted, why are you are you saying wanted so that those authorities in whatever country?
Okay, first of all, when you say wanted, it's like when somebody goes missing, for example. You can't come to Global TV and say XYZ person is missing. You must first of all go to the police and lodge complaint, or as they say, make an entry, right? So it is the police that have the rights or, reserve the power to go to a media house to say, look, this person has been declared missing, and of course, description of the person, who to call, who to contact, if the person is found, and things like that. So there's also a standard procedure. In any case, Nigeria has what you call MLA, yes, that's the word, MLA, Mutual Legal Assistance, with quite a number of countries.
Yes.
So first, you declare him wanted, that is official, so that it's no longer a secret, it's now public knowledge. And then behind closed doors or off cameras, of the media, the EFCC and other agencies are doing the legal aspect of it, right? So that's for the judicial authorities to take care of. I mean, that's purely legal, all right? So the exchange communications, correspondence between or amongst themselves, as the case may be. It's like Interpol, for example. You can't just go and meet Interpol and say, we're looking for so-and-so person. You come on TV and say, no. You have to do that going by the standard procedure. There's standard procedure for how countries interact. It's not like you and I, where I can call you and say, well, what are you doing today? Can we have lunch at 2 p.m.? It's quite a different procedure altogether.
But then we've seen...
But I know again, your concern is how sincere are we about this?
Yeah, because
is it just going to be media trial?
Exactly, because we've seen EFCC declare Yahaya Bello wanted while he was still in Nigeria.
and then he presented himself, and the EFCC says, no, we're not interested.
Exactly.
We need to be the ones to come carry you.
So why did you declare him wanted in the first place? Because why didn't you just go to his house and go and carry him? So this whole wanted thing, it looks like it
looks unserious.
Unserious and misused somehow, you know, by the SEC. But let's just hope that this is really a sincere one, and whatever it is will be handled. Let's go to the next story. We're still on the Daily Independent. Okay, so approved. Let's just go to the big story. Tinubu engages regional bodies in insecurity battle. Federal government orders expansion of major transformer substations to boost power supply. Approved FDPs can unlock 1.7 billion barrels of crude, 7.7 TFC of gas, and that's coming from NUPRC. You find that detail on page 7. Digital sector expected to attract $1 trillion in investment by 2027. That's coming from the minister, and you find that detail on page 29. NGX secures 7.3 trillion naira in landmark capital raise, and you find that detail on page 6. Troops rescue 86 hostages, arrest 29 terrorists, logistics suppliers. You find that detail on page 7. But the judge dismisses ADC coalition, accuses Mark Atiku of undermining the PDP. Textile titans back new board, want smuggling annihilated. Finally, we have WHO, FCDO, Lords embarks remarkable investment in health sector. Read up all of this headlines on the Daily Independent. Now let's go to this day.
Incidentally, that's the much time we're allowed to take from the papers this morning. Thank you so very much for being part of the headlines, and we would love to remind you as always that these headlines are brought to you exactly as published by their respective publishers. Global Television does not in any way contribute to them, and again, read up details for yourself. When we return, it will be Ogojuku Mobono bringing you. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, the viewers, and good morning, the Global Morning crew. I am Ogochukwu. It's another day to look at what's buzzing on the internet. Social media has been buzzing with a lot of news, but today we are going to be diverting our focus from the national issues and that of Ned and his family. And we'll be looking at something very, very important. Tinubu ministers meet UK officials over imprisoned Senator Ike Ekweremadu. A high-level delegation sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with officials at the UK Ministry of Justice today to discuss the case of former Deputy Senate President Senator Ike Ekweremadu, who has been detained in Britain since March 2023. The delegation included Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Maitama Tugar and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Lateef Olasukami Fabemi. The meeting signals a renewed diplomatic effort by the Tinubu administration regarding the high-profile detention. Following the talks, the delegation was received at the Nigerian High Commission in London by Ambassador Mohammed Maidugu, the acting High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. The high level of intervention from the Nigerian government occurs against a backdrop of increasing and sometimes contentious engagement between the British and Nigerian legal systems involving public figures. Senator Ike Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor were convicted in March 2023 of conspiring to arrange the travel of a young man to the UK to exploit him for his kidney, a crime under the Modern Slavery Act. Ike Ekweremadu was subsequently sentenced to 9 years and 8 months in prison. His detention and conviction marked the first verdict of its kind under the Modern Slavery Act and sent a global message that powerful political figures are not above the law. All right, we'll be taking some comments from social media as regards this topic before we bring in someone to help us dissect this particular topic. So the first comment we're taking here is from Folake, and Folake says, Una leave Nnamdi Kanu for detention for no crime committed, but flew abroad for organ harvester. May negative side of Nigeria never happen to you and your loved ones. Okay. The second one is from Homeboy Kel, and Homeboy Kel says, whichever way you might want to interpret politics, the city boy Jagaban knows it more and other persons. The third comment is coming from OJ Afro Lounge Pub, and OJ says, they should negotiate prison swap. He will still serve in Nigeria under house arrest. Okay, that's interesting. The fourth, which is the last comment, but not the least, is coming from Uche. And Uche says, I thought they asked people to go to court if unhappy with outcomes of the elections and tribunal. If they are unhappy with the court verdict that convicted him, they should help him appeal and go to court. Else, what do they want? For UK government to just release a convict because of diplomatic talk? I don't think it goes well. So this is Uche's thought and every other thought. All right, so we have someone here today in the studio to help us discuss this and bring a better light to it, because I really do not understand. He was just sentenced to prison, to jail 2 years ago in 2023. This is just 2 years, and he was supposed to serve at least 8 years or 8 years and 9 months, or thereabout 9 years and 8 months in prison before coming out. So it is just 2 years. What exactly for a crime as heinous as that? Well, we can never know it all. That's the reason why I have with me Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochukwu.
How are you doing, Priscilla?
I'm doing awesome.
All right.
You look good, by the way.
Thank you so much, Priscilla, and you too.
Thank you.
All right. So you've seen I read through all of this comment and also the story about Ike Ekweremadu. We all are so conversant with that story. We know it like we know the back of our palms, and we followed it all through because it was one interesting story that was filled with different contradictions. We heard from the boy's part, and it looked like, okay, this person actually went to, deceived him to go harvest his organs because he was promised a good life and not that. But Ike Ekweremadu on his own end said no, he was actually aware of it before coming, and he said, okay, he was going to do that willingly while they pay him something or give him a better life afterwards. But at the end of the day, he won in court. The young man won in court, and Ike was sentenced to prison alongside his wife for a few months. His wife was sentenced to just a few months in prison, I guess, and while Ike had to stay 9 years and 8 months in prison. But then it's just 2 years along the line, and we're already having diplomatic talks to release Ike. People are still angry. They have other national issues to talk about. We have Nnamdi Kanu there. People are still bringing up Nnamdi Kanu's case, and they're asking, what is the government doing there? Why are they not talking about the insecurity? Why are they not going to have diplomatic talks with the U.S. or anywhere against insecurity? Why Ike Ekweremadu? What's so interesting about Ike Ekweremadu?
It's actually shameful, really. It is. I think Nigerian government needs to learn that the law, nobody's above the law. They need to look at the situation, Ike Ekwerimadu's situation with the UK, and learn how to give right verdicts. It's a sad one for Ike Ekweremadu, but then we have issues. Have we considered even those that are in the UK in prison, other Nigerians? Let's even start with that. Are you just going for an Ike Ekweremadu that has been convicted of a crime that was quite obvious? How about, okay, we want to go and intercede for Ike Ekweremadu. How about we also intercede for other Nigerians in that country? Why do you single out this person? Is it because he has a political class? Is it because he is more privileged? Because that's how you guys make it look in this country. Those that are, up there are more privileged, deserve better lives than the common Nigerian. This is really unfair and shameful of our leaders. I mean, I liked the comment. Somebody cited Nnamdi Kanu. This is not to excuse one crime over the other, but then, if we want to, what is good for the goose? It's good for the gander. This really has to stop. Nigerian leaders need to, in short, like they say, they really see us finish. I mean, they take decisions, we had criminals, we have innocent lives, rather, wasting in cell. We have them wasting in cell. And just a few weeks ago, we saw the president release some, presidential pardon, and we did not even see it reflect innocent citizens that have been wasting in jail for years. We only saw cases of criminals that needed to be, sent back to the prison. If not for the fact that Nigerians came out to speak about it, we would have those people still roaming the streets. But these leaders need to do better. This is not necessary. And even if you are going to the UK to say, okay, let's release him, are you telling them, let us take him back to Nigeria and detain him? Or is it just make him work free? One of the comments said, okay, instead of releasing him, why not bring him back and also detain him here in Nigeria instead of just letting him go? We know that will never happen. But once again, some people were thinking, oh, this could be political. Do you think this is towards, it's more political than it looks? Or, do you think this is towards a 2027 election? Obviously, it is. It is. Your answer was so swift. It is. You are convinced. It is. I mean, what else can we say? It just shows how we don't respect the law. If we can actually see this and go see a verdict, a judgment that was given, go to the United Kingdom to go and tell them, please release it, then you can imagine what they would think about us. We know that they would already automatically know that we are people that do not respect law. Whatever goes on in this country that these people are coming from, it will be worse. And it is obviously worse. So, I mean, Nigeria is a great nation, but our leaders keep embarrassing us. They intentionally do not want to take us out of this shame. Every day they keep heading towards him. And I really do not like to say this, but that is just the reality. Thank you so much, Priscilla Obasi, for your contribution to today's topic. I like the way you actually had to, bring in the innocent ones who are also in the UK prison and just wasting away. What about considering those citizens? They are also citizens, because you don't just go out to speak for just one person because he's an elite or is of the political class. No, I think that discussion should also include some Nigerians, some citizens of the country also who are, in the UK prison and also wasting, like that, I think it's going to really help people's thinking better instead of just speaking for just one person, only because he's of a political class, he was once a senator and all of that, So I think that's the reason why many people actually think that this is towards the election, like this thing is all coined towards election and not even just for,
for doing it because you want him to be pardoned. I think they must have discussed and say, okay, if we're able to bring you out, this is what you have to do for us. Anyways,
it's always like that. But it's a lesson to all of them. They go out there and they respect themselves. They know how to act well when they visit other countries. They don't come and replicate whatever it is that they see out there in this country. They see all the good roads. They see all the beautiful things. They see justice out there, but they cannot come and reflect it back in their country. It's just a shame. It's a shame. We hope they do better. We hope that this case, it is really giving the justice that it deserves. I mean, you cannot just sweep things under the carpet. It cannot happen. Yeah.
All right. We are really hoping that they do better. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining Social Buzz here on Global Morning. And thank you so much, Priscilla Obasi, once more for your contribution to today's topic. All right. That's all we have for you today on Social Buzz here on Global Morning. I am Okochukwu Mobuna. Until I come your way next time, please stay with us as Global Morning continues.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. We're still on the conversation, the segment, the very first segment of, the show. And this time around, we're talking about tertiary institution. We want to talk about, all of the lapses we see happening there, problems with infrastructure and all of that. We just want to talk about rethinking the system. I have a guest to help us dissect this. He is a university administrator, and I believe that he will do justice to this conversation. You'll get to see him after this break. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back to the conversation. Now, just recently, ASUU declared that the problem in the educational sector persists because of the neglect by the federal government, in this sector. But how true is this claim? Is funding actually the only issue? Is there an issue of management? Is there an issue of accountability and even vision? Now, joining me to talk about all of this is an administrator with one of the Nigerian federal universities, Mr. Friday Esang. So are you there with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now let's begin with this. When ASUU, says education is in distress because, of poor neglect by the federal government, poor funding, and, even I would say the indifference or the difference, how do I put it, with the government, the inability to come together to reason. ASUU is coming out to say that this is the issue wrong with the education system. What do you have to say about it?
Okay, let me first and foremost say thank you to you for granting this opportunity. I think it's one of the moments that can help us out. Yes, truly, education is going through some form of distress. And if they ask what is the major reason for the distress in education, all response will come back to funding. All response. I have tried to sleep over time on the causes of the problem in university systems in Nigeria. Everything still come back to funding. Well, what is it about funding? There is, go to anywhere you want to go to, in as much as organization and administration is concerned. Before you talk about vision, you talk about leadership, accountability, and lots more. You have to also bring in the principal idea, which is the fund. That's what will give you the gear to do all that you have to do. In our educational system, we are really suffering from it. Let me start by saying, in this funding issue, the major thing is not funding, but inadequate funding.
Okay.
In fact, in Vision, Nigeria, the Nigerian system, every president that comes in, ministers of education that comes in, they have a good gear, good idea about our educational system to bring out money, but they don't give out money that could fund or pick what is supposed to be. The first place you will look at that is in a budget system. If you look at the amounts allotted to education on yearly basis budget, you will notice that we have inadequate funding, and this will cause problem for us to make some things. One of the things is research. If you go to other places, other countries, one of the things they use in being a better university than us in Nigeria is research. Without research, they said we have drugs for this, we have drugs for this. They did not just stand and bring out the drugs. They have to look for money. They go into bringing technologies and other things that they use in conducting research in solving one problem or the other. Major thing that's lacking in our university system. The inadequate funding has also extended to even our salary system. I didn't even think I would rush into this, but I will have to say it. It has rushed into the salary system. There could be a lot of crises in Nigerian universities because of the salary system. The last problem that ASUU had that is taking them to this strike action is what? How much is a professor earning at the end of the month, a very minute amount. But when you consider a professor and maybe a senator and any other person, a professor produces all these people, they teach, and they are high-ranking individuals. But these are the persons that are taking millions as salaries, allowances, transport, call it housing, and all those things. This same thing comes to university system. Look at how much is allotted to a senator for dressing, for transportation, for accommodation.
Okay.
And the same thing allotted to senators and the rest. You will not see even a little for the professors and every other person. And there is no one that will...
Well, I really don't like it when ASUU, brings up this comparison with senators all the time. I think if it wants to make its demand, it should make its demand without trying to compare, across political sectors in this country. If you say, I have an issue with funding, and then come up and say, you don't have to compare. That's just my point. And then I think that our universities were built, for a world that no longer exists. Most of the things that we currently see right now is, I would say, outdated. So the question now is, can we even rethink, redesign, for a world, that is changing faster than the policies that exist. Now, this very responsibilities is not the responsibility of the government. It is the responsibility of the lecturers, and every administrator in the school system. So when we're coming to ASUU, we're coming with an updated plan. I kind of find it funny that ASUU still, reflects back to the 2009 agreement it had. My question is, why have we not seen progress? Like, why have we not seen, a shift in demand that would even reflect the 21st century realities? We're talking about curriculum, talking about, technology and all of that.
Okay. I was even coming into that. If you look at me talking about research, I've already mentioned technologies. What are we going to use to make things work out in the system? What gives future the strength for us to produce a future leader? Is it not technology? Okay, let me come. As a lecturer or as an administrative staff, what do I have to build a classroom for students? Or what do you want me to do when I go into a class and I have maybe a general studies that consists of 3, 4, 5 departments, and each department is made of about 100 and something or 200 students, and all of them are packed outside or in one room that's supposed not to contain even 200 persons, just because we don't have a hall that can carry these people for a class, or we don't have sufficient lecturers that we can distribute these courses for them to teach at a convenient level for the students to grow. Everything you are talking about at this point still boils down to the fact that even when we come with the vision, it dies on the road because there is nobody to help us carry the vision to its place. Or let me also shut in on something you say you don't like. I can actually apologize, and we don't have anywhere to boil to. We are in academic field, so one of the things that we must do is not part of jealousy, but it's just take it comparison. Is there? If you go to literature, you have that. Comparison in literature is not a bad thing. It's something that we study. We are looking for where to rush to, so that maybe with that, they could look at it very well. The way they are doing to the lecturers, the way they are doing to the admin staff, the hazard and everything, they are not very, very comfortable at it. So they will not have anywhere to go to. So if we must do anything to help us at this point, we have the vision, please.
Okay, so I want to ask, whatever ASUU is clamoring for right now, does it also reflect, on the allowances and salaries of non-academic staff, or are they just pushing for salaries of lecturers?
Every union is involved. They are fighting for the rest. And okay, just take it that even if they wouldn't have been fighting for that, immediately they give it to ASUU. There is need for other unions to also take it.
So we've seen ASUU being settled, maybe not fully, in time past. And with all of this settlement, has it in time past reflected on other, staff, talking about the non-academic staff in universities?
Yes. Yeah, like when they were owing the last salary they owed as a result of industrial strike action, is it for 8 months or so? The non-academic was 4 months, and academic staff was 8 months. They have successfully paid 4 months for the ASU, and they have paid 2 months for the non-academic staff.
Okay, so aside running to the federal government, demanding for what is due them, that's talking about ASU now, what are the strategies that, university bodies put together to ensure that, they create a system where money can actually, be generated within the system? For example, students pay, aside school fees, there are levies that, they get to pay, departmental levels and other kind of levies they get to pay. So are you telling me that, if a proper structuring is being done, this money cannot be used to, impact even the environment right there? Because somehow it just looks as if they are just waiting for ASU, it looks as if there's nothing available, and that is really not the case.
How I wish you even see the place that I'm sitting down to talk with you. I am in our departments. I'm talking to you from there. Now, if you see the nature of the place and you see the former picture of the place, this is a product of the departmental dues that we collect.
Okay.
And the problem is, how much is the departmental dues? Just 1,000 naira for a year. But if you see what we have used the dues to do, you will know that we have gone far. And the university system has also made every plan to make a subvention for each department so that they can solve the problem for themselves. But the amount, the first question will be, in this particular amount we are talking about, how much is going to hold for examination? How much is going to hold for repairs and maintenance? How much is going to hold for electricity and many other things? They are good. What about transport?
Oh, are you there, sir?
And we are doing in the process, which the money is not sufficient. And the request we are making now is, if we can use the little in our hand to do what we are doing now, if there is somebody who sees the vision, the effort in us, and will add up to it, we will do a better one. And in fact, our children will not have any need to rush to other universities outside the country.
Okay, aside just funding, do you think our universities, are looking at updating curriculum? That is really the concern. Because I feel like if we have, number one, I don't even feel like we have updated lecturers. We have lecturers in the system that maybe academias, but somehow I don't think that they are in tune with the 21st century reality. So let's talk about the system of even employing lecturers into the system, right? The whole process of employing lecturers into the system. What are the processes like? And why do we still have graduates out there with good results, finding it difficult to get jobs, as lecturers in the universities? Is it that?
Okay, let me start from the last one. Okay. I don't even have any need to say more on that, because all graduates needed not to be university lecturers or an admin staff in the university. There are many other parastatals over there that.
Well, somehow they want to find themselves there. Is it that it's just for a selected few, or those that are there are saying, we don't want you in, we want to remain here alone? Because if I say I want to be a lecturer, I mean, it's just my preference.
It's not every dream that comes true. So
interesting.
Another thing is for you, like me. You just dream about something, work towards it. If it doesn't work, it is not a do or a die affair. You make plans or changes.
So what is actually the problem? Why is it difficult to get jobs, for graduates to get job, offers by universities, especially federal and state universities? What is the problem?
But I would love to ask, the ones that are working already, are they not graduates? They are. The reasons why they are not having opportunities, the reason why they are not having such opportunities is on the ground that they have not given us the rights. It is governments that give, even when you will submit a proposal that, so department, they are lacking behind in lecturers and all those things. It is not possible. It's not possible for you to employ people without you taking permission from the government. So if they don't give us opportunity to employ, we are not going to employ. We are simply going to beg for.
But is it not okay to also add that as part of the list to, give to the government? Because I feel like our lecturers are not sufficient. We don't have enough of them, and the little ones or the few ones that are there are being stressed. So if we are going to ask you to say you need to increase our pay, why not go alongside the petition saying we need more lecturers in the universities? It kind of feels like it's a deliberate thing.
It is a consistent request. If you want this to turn out as a request on its own, it will make a very long list. Inside the negotiation that ASU and other union is having with the government, most of these things are incorporated in it, but they are not listed as an item on its own. So, on frequent basis, they are doing that. Let me even delve into one of the things you are saying about the nature of the lecturers for tomorrow or thereabouts. Are you aware that even some of the people employed, our governmental individuals have influenced the people employed? I don't know. I just pray God help me as I'm saying, but I must tell you the truth.
Influence in what way exactly?
Yeah. Don't worry. Let's just take it that way. Let's just take it that way. That is why the only thing that helps us in educational system is that in universities, there is room for you to improve yourself. I like it for universities. Even if you came in with a master's, they give you time to upgrade yourself to a PhD holder. They give you time to upgrade yourself to associate prof and the rest. If not, you don't take your promotion and another thing. Because of that, it becomes a competition. And when you are attending this, if you are not at a true level that is useful for the university, they cannot promote you, they cannot take you, they cannot give you the necessary places you're supposed to be. And as a result of that, it becomes a competition for everybody, and people are making it. So when you talk about the standard and quality of lecturers in the university, I could say that it is okay.
Okay, let's talk about, the whole system that builds graduates, even if somehow I think that very topic is inconclusive. What we have just talked about now, that's what he just said. But then we have graduates in the university, and this is also reflecting the 21st century, expectations, realities from our graduates, right? So I feel ASU coming up as a body to the federal government should also include, maybe not to the federal government, but as they are crying to the federal government, there should be, a platform too that should enable students to be able to give feedback. Do you understand? To the system, especially with the fact that things are changing rapidly. Is there such a system? Our curriculums are outdated. I'll keep saying it over and over again. Courses now that, little courses, most graduates leave school and have to go source for some online course somewhere to be able to get, fit, to be able to be fit for this age and this time. So what is that measure that is being put in place to be able to allow students to give feedback, or even to allow feedback into the system on what should be improved?
Okay, that system I've been before I even joined the university system as a staff.
Does it work is the question.
Is that?
Does it work is the question.
Well, whether it works, it still falls back to the administration. And let me tell you, that one will not directly be the blame will not directly be pushed on the ASU, because the major place we have set for both the school system and the government to be head of the students is through the student union government that we have. So you know about SUG.
Yes.
To universities like the one that I am, you notice that the vice chancellors and other principal admin staff have been able to give them an open ear. They bring out their reports, everything they want to say, and we treat it as well. In fact, it is their complaint that also constitute one of the list that ASU is giving to the government, or more of the list. Let me say so. Or did you hear when there was on internet issue that has to do with no class, that students were sitting on the floor to write exams, and the picture was trending on Facebook, where the students in year 2 or year 1, year 3 were sitting on the floor because there was no seat for them to sit down and other things. Why did they send it to Facebook? is just for both, and this has been after the school system on their own. The ASU, the vice chancellor have heard this information and was working on his own. I could tell you that I was aware that they brought some seats and other things. There are some renovations. In fact, in the place that I'm working now, where I am now, renovation everywhere. That renovation is not done by the government. It is the little fund that we use. We make as departmental dues, faculty dues, and other charges that they use in rebuilding. But the place is large, the place is big, and we need to do that. So to be very frank, there is a union set up from the beginning. That union is to go straight to the university system and then to the government itself. And let me tell you, the university principals are doing the best to listen to the union and take feedback to help work accordingly. So I don't know for the government if it's happening.
Okay, basically what I've heard you say is we have done our part and we are still waiting for the government, you know, and we have done our little part. Somehow it just feels like our part is so little, the government. But what I just want to enforce in this conversation is that as much as we call it little, it can actually be much, right? That institution, that very space of learning that has been given to whichever state can actually produce more than is already happening right now. That's what I'm saying. We have students leave the university and somehow they are able to survive on their own without relying on the government. How much more an institution set up that has even been given a little help, whether we call it little or not, it is something, you know, and we keep hearing the excuse of the government is not helping. If the university system keeps crying the government is not helping, what would the graduate outlet that goes out, you know, without a job talk about?
Did you even talk about they are given help? The help is not the problem. Are you equally aware that we are working on the government directive? Even if as an institution we have our own policies and principles, it must match with the one of the government. Look at the bodies that are governing this law. Ministry of Education is there, NUC is there. So they make laws, they make policies, which everything we do must pass through. But I can now come back to answer that particular question, if there is any curriculum, all those things. Let me equally ask you, are you aware that there is what we call accreditation? And this accreditation is a periodical issues. That in accreditation, they assess everything that is using in running a department, both stationary and academic based. Lecturers, qualification of lecturers, the number of years they use in upgrading themselves, what they use in running. They even check up to
Okay, we seem to be losing Mr. Eneng there. Mr. Eneng, are you with us? Are you with us? Okay, please go ahead. We lost you at some points. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I can now come back to answer that. That one is there. But coming back to the point that you raised, there is no way, even if we have much money or whatsoever money we have, there are some certain things that there are certain things we cannot do without taking the permission from the government. Hence, it still become a problem. Even if you have the money, it's like you now staying in your husband's house. You cannot just wake up because you are working, you have money. You now begin to buy cars, build house, and your husband is not aware just because you have the money.
Okay.
And the same thing happens in the institution for us. We don't wake up to do anything. We must pass through the system that we are under before we can do those things. That is when you see us, we see the name government. It's not like they are bad.
So you're telling me that if you want to do something, if you do something in your university, the government will come to question it?
There are some things that for example now, do you know that in federal, one of the problems we have is that federal government seems to operate with a little or a minimal charges on school fees. If you compare the school fees that the students are paying in federal universities to the one of the state university and private, you will see the difference. Okay, because you want to do a particular project, go and add 5,000 naira.
No. That's wrong. You don't add any money. But yeah, what I'm saying is, if the institution on its own can come up with budgets, maybe from whatever it is that has been raised, and do stuff, I don't think the government would hinder that in any way. So it's...
And they don't hinder, but the little we have come up with it. We have done it. Even if somebody will not tell us we have done well, we will tell ourselves that we have done well. We are waiting for who is going to encourage us to say we have done better, not well at this point.
Well, maybe I should first start by saying you have done well in your little way. Maybe this serves as an encouragement. But then, let's go to the issue of lecturers. Do you think our universities have, qualified lecturers? Like, do you think, because I am a student currently undergoing my master's, and there are points where, lecturers are acting complacent, like you have to go call them. You have to go and, beckon on them when you have lectures. And I believe that this is, I don't know about undergraduates, but it's a common practice. They are not somehow, is it part of the fact that, they have not been done, they are not being, their request is not being granted? Is it the reason for the complacency? And by some lecturers, I'm not talking about all, but there's those lecturers that you have to really beckon on them for them to give in their best. What does the department do about this, and the school at large?
Okay, let me answer that in two dimensions. Number one, we have qualified lecturers. I repeat, qualified lecturers we have, not only in one university. In 70% of the universities we have in Nigeria, there are qualified lecturers. In fact, they are doing their best in making sure that they give out what they need to give to the city. Partly, some of these lecturers also have this problem of, in fact, they have, what happened to you when they pay you salary, what you call salary, not because you have too much problem, but the salary cannot even shift you afar. They pay you salary today, in the next 1 week, the salary is over, and you struggle with the transport. You struggle with how to pay transport to your office and all those things. You see that one can push you into saying, let me look for some other thing to do. And from some other thing to do, it will remove your interest in being concentrated on the things or the lecture that you're supposed to have, or marking the script of the students, or looking deeply into their test assessments and all those things. So that one could be that if that one I'm talking about has even come in, it will be 20%, which its effect is not maximum on the students. Take note that lecturers lectures and give them, so the students themselves, they are a different body entirely. You will teach them and they will want to lean on what you teach till they graduate. That one will not help now. That is the room for research we are talking about.
Okay.
The students should equally going. But let me come back on the two things I have talked about. Let me match it. How do we solve the problem? HODs are working perfectly. In as much as I am admin and I know about it, I know about students that come in to ask me, please, I am looking for social lecturer. I am looking for social phone number of lecturer. What do you want the number for? It says that we have his or her class and we've not seen him or her at the moment. I give out the number. Sometimes I call by myself. And the same thing HOD is doing. So you can now see that I can now go back and answer the former question again. That even as I'm talking, we do listen to the students' complaint very well. So HOD will do the work. Me as an admin, I'm doing the work. And even if there is one or two lecturers that is not active, we call and they respond. Even if they have no reason to postpone class today, by the call, they respond, they stay active, they know that somebody is monitoring them. Meaning that the department itself, through the students and the admin and the HOD, they are doing everything to help the lecturers themselves sit up. So generally, they are qualified. And I give you reason why they are qualified and very, very qualified. Reason being that everyone wants to be promoted. Everyone do not want the people that they enter work with to leave them behind. Who doesn't want to move from lecturer 2 to lecturer 1, or to senior lecturer, or to associate professor, and all of them want to be in that position. So they go to school. The school is not a background school. They follow the policy. Don't forget that even as we are talking, we have a civil service rule that is guiding all the staff in the school. So they follow it accurately before they take anything. Do you know that we cannot take promotion without meriting it? You don't take it. Even if you might have had any way to enter this, for you to be promoted, you must follow the normal policy to have it. So let me, from those angles, I could tell you that we have qualified ones.
Okay, so what are those measures? Is it basically for, admins and senior lecturers? Is it only in their place to be able to report such practices? Are there any platforms or, channels open for students to report cases of, say, abuse by lecturers whatsoever in whatever form? What are those channels open? So that students watching me right now will be able to know that they have the right to do this, and this is a way to protect them, because there are cases of that arise in universities.
What do we call these things? Is it Sevicom, we have complaint units, we have counseling units, and then some of them, they write the letter of complaint. We have suggestion box. We give room for one-on-one discussion. We don't.
Are all those things properly utilized? Are they really looked into? Because we seem to be losing. What I'm saying is, do you think that these channels that are being opened, is there any way it, safeguards somehow students that come out to complain? Because most times it's basically because of the fear of what this lecturer would do. I, for one, I have seen. Are you there, sir? Are you with me? Okay, I was saying that I, for one, have seen situations where students, are being abused one way or the other, and because of the fear of lecturers that have friends, the fear of what they would do to them afterwards, they are just scared to, confront the situation or even report the situation. So what are those measures put in place to also make students know that they are safe, even if they go to report these things?
It is no more in this particular time. We have orientation. Okay. Even when, in fact, the last time, the two things that they do, we have orientation for students. As they come in, we have a time for briefing in departmental basis, faculty basis. The registrar has been doing that work. They give them this information accordingly. They allow them. In fact, one of the ways that even when they petition, even when they write a letter of complaint for anyone, if it comes to my table, the first thing I do is I sit you down and talk to you, and we make sure everything you send is covered. You are not exposed. Everything you do is not exposed. Like the one of Sevicom that I talk about, till the whole thing will be treated, whether exams issue or lecture issue, or whether you report the lecturer for whatever reason, or you are not intimidated. And moreover, let me tell you, if such thing has ever been, it is not in this present modern dispensation that we find ourselves. This time around, instead of the student being afraid of lecturers, sometimes it's like some lecturers will even be afraid of some students. So there is a free hand for everyone to be free in doing what they have to do. But we are guiding against anyone insulting somebody because you need to report. You need to complain anybody's excesses. So the channels are there. In fact, we have platforms. We have platforms where cases, I am aware of my own department that are working. Lecturers have platforms where in case of any problem, they spot information. They send information. We have anonymous information where the person that misbehaved or did that thing will take correction from there. I know when my HOD calls somebody an address of a particular issue and it was corrected. So there are different measures that these things are taking place. Students are no more intimidated these days, if it has been before. They are no more intimidated. They have free access. They talk. I know about, one year, 3 students asked me something the other time, and I have to answer. The lady was looking for her file in the office, and she did not see it. And she asked me, sir, these are the students' file. Where will my own be? Before I know, the faculty officer sent for me. He said the student said she has not seen her file. I said, sir, please just tell her to give us time to look for her file. That we don't go with anybody's file. We manage the file, we don't go with the file. And I did not have any grievances about the lady. I finished everything. We treated the case. We saw her file. And the worst that happened is that after I saw her file, I have to sit her down and said, when you went to report me to the faculty officer, what happened? did you notice that I play any foul play with your file or whatsoever, or I quarrel with you? She apologized. Today, me and the same person, we are still friends. We don't have any problem. She's in her year 4. So we don't intimidate anybody. I am not talking for myself. I'm talking for a good number of my colleagues that I know about.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think this is how far we can go in the conversation. Before we go, do you have any final words you want to leave? Are you there?
Yeah, please, I'm listening.
Okay, I said this is how far we can go on the conversation. Do you have any last words to leave before we go?
Okay, let me say a very big thank you to you and your entire management for always creating time for us to make this kind of discussion. I want to say that this discussion we've made has not shown any level of enmity between the government and the university institution or thereabouts. We are all working together. We are working like family, that if there is any problem, the child will complain, the husband or the mother will complain, and we still go back together as a family. So all that we say here is to look at our excesses. I am not saying that ASU is good or SANU is good or government is good or none of them is bad. All of us have room to make our mistakes and then correct, come back to work together. All is for the unity of the country that we find ourselves. So thank you very much for creating this avenue. I know it will help a lot to learn. God bless you.
Yeah, indeed, it's been insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Friday, for being here with us. Viewers, this is how far we can go in the conversation. Of course, this is an ongoing conversation, and we'll just go for a quick break right now. When we come back, Global Morning would, begin to come to an end. But please, we still have a little for you before we end. So stay with us.